I'd like to call to order the January 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board. Roll call.
Earbone.
Here.
Holman.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
LaPointe.
Here. All right, we will now have an approval for our minutes from November 28th meeting. Any comments, or we can take a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
LaPointe, Holman, roll call.
Earbone.
Yes.
Holman.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
LaPointe.
Yes.
All right, if the staff will stand so I can swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. All right, thank you. And if we can have our first case.
Agenda item number 2024-1 is an appeal for code compliance with a citation fine of $804.98. It is case number 2023-5794 for the property located at 602 Fairdale Avenue. The owner and respondent is Gino Metlow. Mr. Metlow is not here this afternoon, but his attorney, Mr. Philip Grogan, is here to make a request to the board. Mr. Grogan?
Closer to the microphone. I'll
right.
swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I represent Mr. Metlow. He is this week in Louisville with his wife taking chemo treatments and cannot be here. And I'm here to request a continuance of this matter till the next meeting.
Problem with that?
I have the case ready to present if you'd like, but we didn't really see the point. If you guys just want to continue it till next month, and we can handle it then.
I'll make a motion that we continue this case until February.
Second.
Dearbone, LaPointe. Roll call.
Earbone.
Yes.
Holman.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
LaPointe.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 2024-2, this is a citation appeal for animal protection, the citation fine being $229.98 for case number 2023-5542 for the property located at 1010 Beauty Avenue. The owner of the property is Lead Properties LLC, and the respondent is Brent Clark. The respondent did call the Code Compliance Office yesterday on January 22nd, stating he no longer wished to pursue the appeal, so he is not here with us this afternoon.
I would stand as written.
Agenda item 2024-3, this is a citation appeal for zoning compliance. This involves two cases and two properties, the citation fines being $400 for each property for a total of $800 in citation fines. Cases number 2023-5573 and 2023-5574 for property located at 0 St. Charles Street and 178 St. Charles Street. The owner and respondent is Nuriz Miljanovich. James Hetty will present the case, and Mr. Miljanovich has declined using the language line, and his daughter is here to interpret for him. So come on in. Oh, just wait. Yes.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you. I had a complaint back in October 14th of 2019. So I've had a few complaints on this property. Brad, can we go to the next? As you can see, these are the aerial photos. 2017's on the left, and those two parcels are mainly grass up through there. And then the photo on the right is a 2013 GIS aerial photo, and it shows how everything has been pretty much leveled and just gravelled, and there's a big difference between the 2017 and 2023. They failed to get a site work permit, site work development plan, which that would involve a landscape plan, and also the grading and drainage would go along with that also. So there's a photo of what it looks like today. That photo was actually back in August, but you'll see where it was gravel. In 2019, I did deliver 2 NOVs, one for the 178 St. Charles Street, and the other was for the other lot, 0 St. Charles Street. Both of them the same. They both need the site work permit and the development plan permit, and the landscape and the drainage. I had, let's see, another complaint in 2022, and then this one in 2023. And so that photo right there, it designates, I had another notice of violation that I revised, and it's pretty much the same since they didn't correct any of the first ones. This one shows kind of the timeline there. December 2019, there's the 2 NOVs. September of 2023, 2 NOVs. And then unfortunately, November, there's the 2 citations, which brings us here today.
I noticed in the report that there was a break between April of 2020 and April of 2022. Was that because he was working with the city and ACES in order to get that, get it corrected?
That is correct. We've got within our, I guess Eric Druin is our, it's called CDR. It's Comprehensive Development Review. And so it's got a lot of the different entities that come in and look at big projects, stormwater, utilities, a lot of the city personnel with permits. When I initiated the first NOVs, we did meet with myself and Eric Druin, and with them submitting or starting the road towards compliance with the CDR, I didn't inspect because they're in that wheelhouse, I guess, of going towards compliance. However, later on, I found out that they weren't going towards compliance, but that was at a later date. Had a second complaint on the 2022, pretty much 2 years after that. And so reached back out to Eric Druin, which is the CDR coordinator, and I don't know what conversations he had with them, but on this 2023, when I got this complaint, I revisited the site. It's still out of compliance. I talked to Eric, and it's not in the CDR review program, so therefore initiated the second round of the NOVs.
Have any questions for Mr. Huddy before we bring up? No. Okay. All right. You all come up. I will swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right. If you'll just tell us your name, and then you can proceed.
My name is Almadina Salahovich. So with regard to this case today, I can confidently say there is no intent to be non-compliant with anything here. I've spoken with my dad about, I can't say that I personally know the extent of everything from 2019, so I'm happy to review all that and, be more educated about that. But with regard to this specific citation between September of 2023 to when he got the citation notice in November, my father did try to start that process. Now, because there is a language barrier with my father, he did ask for help from a friend. This friend is actually the real estate agent who helped him find this facility to begin with. His friend said that he knew Brian Shirley from Shirley Contracting, I believe, and he actually hand-delivered the notice that he got from September. He gave a copy of it to Brian Shirley to see what they needed to do. So this appointment that he had with Brian Shirley and his real estate agent friend who went with them was on October 10th of 2023. Now, that day that my dad went to that appointment, he didn't have to sign any papers. There was nothing official. He gave the information over to Brian Shirley, said, hey, I got this in the mail. Let's see what we need to do. At that point, he just didn't hear back from him for a couple weeks, it was. So it was actually November 15th or 17th whenever he eventually heard back from Brian Shirley about what they were going to do. So again, there really isn't an intent to not be compliant. He's happy to do whatever it is he needs to do. I think it's just a matter of, having a clear-cut explanation of what we need to do. And, moving forward, I can help him with this now just to make sure that we're doing everything needed. But the citation just kind of came as a surprise to him when he got it in November because, he had started this process and wasn't sure, what he needed to do. So that's why we're here today.
Mr. Hetty, what is it exactly needs to be done going forward? Clearly, it's out of compliance presently.
What needs to be done is Brian Shirley, he's an engineer. He can draw up plans for the site work permit or application, but also the development plan, which will include a landscape and the drainage, the stormwater drainage. All of those plans need to be submitted to the Bowling Green City permit section. The different entities will look over the permits, but also this is large enough that it'll need to go through that CDR, that comprehensive development review, where there's other entities that will look at it. I know this has been going on 2019. It's been 1,562 days, counting today, in which back in 2019, it may have been 2020, he was in talks with Mr. Brian Shirley then. However, when I did issue this next round of NOVs, the friend that Mr. Marimi, he had advised, or he had told me while we were talking that it's going to cost $200,000 to bring this up to compliance, and therefore that's why they didn't pursue that. But let me see when I talked to him that date. Oh, yeah, I skimmed over it. It's September the 29th of 2023 is when he told me it's going to cost $200,000. But to bring it into compliance, you'll have to have an engineer draw up those plans and go through the CDR and submit for the applications, the permit application.
Start from scratch, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you tell me, maybe I missed it, more exactly what that plan will do? Stormwater he'll have to what, pave the gravel or remove the gravel and pave? What exactly we need to do?
There's certain requirements like that landscape plan, there will be a buffer around, so some of that might have to be removed. The stormwater will look and see how much drainage, when they added all the gravel, that's pushing water over on someone else, but also they'll have to pave. Yeah, she'll know.
I may jump in and help out a little bit. So with this type of facility, there are options in the ordinance for what we consider an alternative to paving when you have heavy trucks or equipment. And so we haven't seen a site plan for us to be able to review just yet, but it is possible that portions of the site may be able to remain in gravel. But anything in front of the building itself and all of the travel ways, those would have to be paved under the ordinance. So it could end up ultimately being a combination of both pavement and gravel. But James is correct that around the perimeter, some of the material may have to be removed to accommodate the required landscaping and or portions of that removed to accommodate drainage for the site itself.
So what was quoted at 200,000 was to do just that, or was there more added to that?
That was just during our conversation when he had received the.
So you didn't
notice
see the
from us.
quote, he just told you about it?
No, it's just our conversation over the phone. He said, well, this is
Okay.
gonna cost him 200,000.
Okay. Ma'am, do you know anything about that?
Let me ask my dad about that
Okay.
real quick.
Ona jeste kad ti je rekao da će nešto koštati 200.000, zašto je to bilo? Je li to od ovoga, od Brian Shirley, on je rekao?
No.
Nego?
Nije, isto naravno rekao da bi koštalo možda oko 200.000.
Oh, so according to my dad, that was just a quote that his real estate agent friend had given him, so
Just
that
to
was
get
where,
him into compliance?
just to what, I'm sorry?
Just to get him into
Yes,
compliance?
or just to, yeah, I think he was under the impression that everything would have to be paved, and he said it would cost around 200,000. I think there's really just been, I don't want to say miscommunication, but maybe just some misunderstanding between this friend who's kind of been in between my dad and the city, it seems like. So I think that's where some of this confusion and things are coming from. Again, we're happy to work with Brian Shirley if we need to for this, or if we need to find another engineer. We have an agreement form with Brian Shirley that was officially created in December of 2023. So, I mean, we're ready to go ahead with everything. Again, I think it was just not fully understanding the extent of what needed to be done. But again, we're happy to move forward with compliance.
The reason I asked, I was just trying to figure out what your next step would be. If that was the case, I realize that $200,000 is a lot, but didn't know what you had in mind.
I mean, if that's the case,
doing
that's
that.
the case, you know what I mean? I think the next step is to, get more solidified plans from Brian Shirley, which we haven't received yet. So I think that would be the best place to start, is just getting all of that information first, seeing what is required, and then going from there. So, I mean, I feel like that's what the next steps are.
The notes indicated that Mr. Shirley was involved 2 years ago. Did y'all talk in contract with him a couple of years ago, or?
He said they did start their discussions back in 2019 with him, and then once the pandemic hit, they kind of withered away. Like, they stopped talking for a little bit, they lost some communication, and then just never picked back up with it until they got this notice in September, at which point he did get in touch with his friend to get in touch with Brian Shirley for him, and then they set up the meeting for October 10th.
How fast do you think that you guys can get something together to?
Well, I mean, considering that we already have this agreement, made from Brian Shirley's company, I think it's just letting him know to move forward with drawing out the plan and whatever needs to be done. I'm not sure what the time frame looks like for him to get that job done, but, as soon as we do, I mean, there's no reason that there should be a delay in doing whatever we need to do.
I guess what I'm getting at is staying on top of it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Because if you just let it sit there. it
Right.
could be-
Now that I'm more involved with this, I did not live in Bowling Green in 2019. I was in Lexington for pharmacy school. Normally, I help my dad with all these things, so I can see kind of why it fell off the rails for a little bit. But, I can help him stay on top of this, and, we just won't use that third party in between us and any contractors, engineers, or anybody that we need.
Does it look to you like that the agreement with Mr. Shirley is for design or design and construction?
So I can read you what it says here. It says, consultant agrees to provide the following scope of services for the company: survey tied to existing property corners, site civil for truck parking lot to meet the City of Bowling Green zoning ordinance, plans to include site layout, grading and drainage plans, SPCC/NOI/BMP plans, landscape plans, site lighting, site civil details, all planning and zoning coordination for approval of site plans. Does that include everything that we would need?
Our staff did speak with Mr. Brian Shirley back, looks like December the 15th. And at that time, he said that he did sign the contract, but it would be February 1st before he could get to it. So Mr. Shirley probably hadn't started on the plans yet, but we did get confirmation through Mr. Shirley that he is going to work on this.
So how fast with you all? I mean, in the past, how fast do you see a realistic time frame here?
Sure. So, and one thing really quick before I answer that question, everything she read as a part of the contract, that would just include the design. So that would be step one. And once the plans are approved, then they would have to consult with someone else for the construction to actually complete the work as designed and approved. Once the plans are submitted through our office, through the comprehensive development review process, there's an initial 2-week review. After that, all of the staff who's involved with that review, all of those comments are sent to Eric with our office, one centralized point of contact, and then he would reach back out to the engineering firm with whatever comments each of the different staff review agencies had, whether that be relating to stormwater or our zoning ordinance requirements, or landscaping or anything like that. And then it would basically just be back on the engineer to make any corrections, then resubmit. Hopefully everything's been corrected and we can approve the plans. So the review time, as long as the engineer is staying on top of things and making corrections after our comments are initially sent back to them, I guess that part of the process shouldn't take terribly long once we have a set of plans to review. But then as for construction, to complete the work as approved, I wouldn't be able to speak to that. It would just depend on the contractors and who's hired to do the work.
You might be looking at a few months just for step one, right?
I'm not sure what the board's going to do, but would it be reasonable at a meeting in February, the end of February, you should at least have the plans in? I know you can't dictate when somebody's going to, how long it's going to take, but
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure because Brian said that they can get started on the project as of February 1st. I'm not sure how involved this is going to be. I don't know if there's a current survey of record or if they're literally going to have to start from scratch and survey the entire property and draw up plans. So it could take every bit of that, if not even a little bit longer.
What kind of time frame would you guys, I mean, is there somewhere you guys can meet in the middle here? And, I mean, what would you like to see done, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I mean, our ultimate goal is just complying with the ordinance and having an approved set of plans and completing the work. And so if there's not a breakdown in communication and we're continuing to work toward compliance, I think that's our main goal. So once Brian and his team with ACES get started, if they can just keep the dialogue going with us to say, hey, we've started this project, we're 2 weeks out from submitting plans, or, this is our anticipated timeline, I think that's really would be the best place to start, and just keeping communication going between everyone to make sure that they're continuing to work toward compliance, even if it does take, months for us to get to that.
So I'm going to make a motion to uphold the citations but waive the fines in the amount of $800.
I'll second.
Earbone, Lapointe, roll call?
Earbone,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Harmon,
No.
Lapointe.
Yes. So that means you have the citation, but the fines waived, so that will allow you all to get the process started and kind of go from there, so,
You guys.
thank you.
Agenda item 2024-4 is a case update for old business for code compliance involving case number 2023-4098 for the property located at 1023 State Street. The property owner was Thomas Lewis, and Officer Brad Shagorotsky will give us the update.
This case was presented to the board at the November 2023 hearing. At that time, the board had ordered staff to have a city contractor install fencing around the property for the safety of the public. The board also had requested a special call hearing in early January in the event that no progress had been made regarding demolition of the structure. In front of you, you'll see the pictures of the property. The fencing was installed at 6 a.m. the morning following the board hearing as ordered. So these pictures are 9 that morning with the fencing installed as proposed in the meeting the day before and at the rear as well. Our staff was in contact with the city attorney on an ongoing basis in the weeks following the board hearing in November. She acted as a liaison with the property owner and the county judge executive. In early January, we were informed that all 3 property owners at that location were likely to move forward with selling their properties to Warren County, who would then demolish the remaining structures upon taking ownership. The matter was brought before the Warren County Fiscal Court on January 11th during closed session, and a special call hearing was conducted on January 16th to approve the county's purchase, which has also been in the news and local media. They did close on that purchase, and the following day, the contractor, Scott and Ritter, applied for a demolition permit on behalf of the county. As of yesterday, they have started demolition on the structures, and the county has taken possession of the property. So as such, we are closing the city's case and allowing them to move forward accordingly. And I'll take any questions if the board has any.
Saw that material go.
Idea. I know that the owner, Mr. Lewis, had wanted to salvage some of the bricks for a project up in Louisville, but I'm not sure if they'd worked that out or not. I know there's a lot of contents in that building, but I'm not sure if Scott and Ritter's plan for it.
How long is it going to take them to complete the demolition?
But they started very quickly. They mobilized equipment before, I think, even the 16th or 17th, which I think had been an insurance obligation or something that was also, the board was informed of back in November. So they had mobilized the equipment to ensure that they met that deadline, but they're moving pretty fast on it now. They've got a lot of the wall that you see in this picture from yesterday. Today is already down in that kind of the lower space where the basement was of the adjacent building. So I think the hardest part, as we had talked about back in November, is the Holland building at the end, or the old fire station, because it's right adjacent to the alley in the parking lot, and making sure that that comes the right direction and doesn't collapse onto, the alley or cars or the parking lot. But they're moving pretty quick on it.
Please.
Agenda item 2024-5 is new business for code compliance. This is a request for authorization to issue a second per-day fine citation for the property located at 1612 Johnson Drive, case number 2023-0254. The owner is Juan and Ruelas Carmen Rolon. Officer Heather Lashley will present the case.
Good evening. This case was the result of a proactive inspection on January 25th, 2023. A notice of violation was sent to the PVA-listed owner and address on that date with a compliance reinspection date of February 15th, 2023. 3 citations were issued on March 23rd, July 7th, and July 18th. The following violations were listed on the citation on July 18th. Vacant structures and land, accessory structures, stairways, decks, porches, and balconies, protective treatment, roofs and drainage, duty of maintenance of private property, accumulation of construction, demolition, or landscape debris, dilapidated fences and walls, and abandoned structures. At the August Code Enforcement Nuisance Board hearing, a request was approved for per-day fines for this property, and a $100 per-day fine citation was issued on September 6th. The citation was posted on the property, sent by first class and certified mail to the PVA-listed owner and address. The 60-day period has now elapsed, and the property remains in violation. Staff is requesting authorization to issue a second per-day fine citation. The case has been open for 362 days now, and it remains in violation.
I'll make a motion to authorize issuance of a per-day fine citation in the amount of $100 to run for a period of 60 days or until compliant.
I'll second that.
Point Harmon. Roll call.
Earbone,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes?
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
LaPointe.
Yes.
Agenda item 2024-6 is also new business for code compliance. This is a request for repeat offender designation for Krista L. Robertson, and Brad Shagaratsky will present the case.
So as is customary with the repeat offender designation, I'll give you a quick refresher on what the ordinance requires to be designated as a repeat offender property owner in the city, because we don't do them very often. So a repeat offender has to fit one of 3 criteria. Generally, we won't bring it before the board unless it meets at least 2 of those 3 criteria. The designation is that they have to have been issued the 4th citation for any violations of subchapters listed above involving any of the person's properties within a 2-year period, a 3rd citation in 12-month period, or a 2nd citation in a 2-year period and it remains unpaid. And those are only things that have been either before the board or issued as final order according to state law. So we're bringing Krista Robertson as a request for repeat offender designation. Currently, she owns the property at 509 Ashmore, but this would, of course, designate her as a repeat offender for any property that she owns in the city. So she does meet categories A and B. She's had 8 citations in the last 2 years. So we have October 12th of 22, May 2nd of 23, May 23rd of 23, June 27th, July 8th, 27th, August 22nd, September 19th, and October 25th of 23. Also, furthermore, under Category C, having been issued a 2nd citation that remains unpaid, she has outstanding fees and fines for codes of $3,793.14. So we are requesting that she be designated as a repeat offender for a penalty of $1,200 per citation to run for a period of 24 months. And additional information to help with your decision is there have been 13 code compliance cases at this location just in the last 5 years, and there have been 18 citations / work orders at the property in that same time period. The majority, if not all, of those citations are for tall grass. We continually, as you can tell by the dates, during the warmer months have to issue citations and mow the grass on an ongoing basis. So this enhances the penalties in hopes of either gaining compliance or taking further enforcement action on the property owner.
Do I have any questions? I'll make a motion to designate this property owner as a repeat offender and set future citation amount at $1,200 for a period of 24 months.
Second.
Dearbone, Holman. Roll call.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
Lapointe.
Yes.
Do you have any comments or announcements? If not, our next hearing date will be February 27th.
Do you have an introduction?
Oh, yes.
So Brad will introduce the new ACO.
So Jessica Ferris is here sitting next to me. She is one of our new animal control officers. She was born and raised here in Bowling Green, moved to Louisville after graduating from Western Kentucky University, worked for the city of Louisville for 15 years as both an animal control officer and as a lead adoption coordinator at the city shelter. She's moved back to Bowling Green with her 2 children and has already been a great asset to the city. And we're really excited now that since January 1st, for the first time in the city, we have 7-day-a-week coverage for our animal control officers. So Jessica, who you're meeting now, and Catherine, who you met back in November, are working alternating 4-day overlapping shifts, and then Katja Ford, who you know is still working the Monday through Friday. So we have triple coverage on some days, working all weekend on extended hours as well, and it's really been a great benefit to the city and its citizens. So please welcome Jessica. We're happy to have her.
Welcome. We're glad to have you here and glad to have you back in Bowling Green. Our next hearing date is Tuesday, February 27th, and if nothing else, we will adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Harmon. Lapointe.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned.